As the American troops pressed on, Japan's Show 1 plan was put in motion and rolling toward the invasion fleet. For Japan, the Battle of Leyte Gulf was to be the decisive engagement of a war that had turned disastrously against it.
I think the Japanese wanted Leyte to be the last battle, followed by a peace treaty. But before negotiating a treaty, the Japanese wanted to chase the Americans away from Leyte, so our bargaining position would improve. To achieve such a big victory, a small number of pilots was not enough, so Japan sent 3 squadrons.
The Imperial fleet had lost most of its carrier strength, but its commanders were confident that its battleship and cruiser force was still formidable enough to deliver one perfectly coordinated and devastating blow. Combined Fleet Chief Toyota Soimu prepared 4 victory plans. Show 1, Show Ichigo Sakusen, was a major naval operation in the Philippines. Show 2, 3, and 4 were responses to attacks on Formosa, the Ryukyu Islands, and the Kuril Islands, respectively. The plans were uncompromising, complex, aggressive operations, committing all forces to a decisive battle. On 12 October 1944, Nimitz had launched a carrier raid against Formosa to make sure that planes based there could not intervene in the Leyte landings. The Japanese, believing this was the invasion, put Show 2 into action, launching wave after wave of attacks against the American carriers. Nearly 200 of their aircraft were shot down over or near Task Force 58 in one afternoon. 3 Japanese carriers were sunk in the battle, 3 carriers that could never be replaced. The Japanese carriers had been the spearhead of the Japanese offensive at the start of the Pacific War. By the end of the Battle of Formosa, the Imperial Japanese Navy lost nearly 600 carrier and land-based aircraft in just 72 hours. As a result of the destruction of their air groups, the remaining carriers were reduced to the role of decoys during the coming Leyte campaign. With the destruction of the Japanese carrier force, the task of making the real attacks on the Allied invasion fleet in the Philippines was, of necessity, left to the Imperial Japanese Navy's battleship and heavy cruiser forces, which were still largely intact. It was decided that Vice Admiral Ozawa, with 4 aircraft carriers and a dozen other ships, would come down from the north and draw off the main American covering force. Meanwhile, 2 powerful battleship forces would penetrate the central Philippines and then converge on the invasion shipping in Leyte Gulf. The southern and weaker of these battleship forces, commanded by Rear Admiral Nishimura, would penetrate through Surigao Strait, just south of Leyte. The central force, under the command of Vice Admiral Kurita, consisted of 5 battleships, including the giant Yamato and Musashi, which were the largest warships in the world, 10 heavy and 2 light cruisers, and 15 destroyers. This was the more powerful of the 2 battleship forces. It would penetrate through San Bernardino Strait, sail down the coast of Samar, and fall on the American invasion fleet from the northeast. This giant pincer movement would converge on the Leyte beachhead, isolating the troops that had already landed. It was a desperate gamble, a seaborne banzai charge.